Good morning, class. It's bright and early. I still have my coffee here. I don't set it between me and the painting, but I keep it to the sides so that I don't spill as I'm drinking it. But it's early and good morning. All right. I want to address a couple things that I had promised. One is the transparency yellow that can go from dark, pretty dark to light. And then I want to address an issue somebody had about um, re going back into the background but liking certain areas and not wanting to necessarily um, ruin it. And then I'll just start another painting and probably do another tutorial. Okay, all right. So I have that transparent yellow. In the oil painting world, it's usually called Indian yellow, but uh, there's lots of transparent colors, and there's there's a yellow, um, Indian yellow. The red transparent is usually going to be in the alizarin family, and the blue would be like the Prussian or the phthalo blue, and then for the greens, they're the phthalo green. All right. So what that means is they play well in their dark form, but they really change when it comes to the lighter transparency, and it turns really bright. I'll show you what that means. So I'm picking up a lot of water here, and at some point when I want it to go to light, I'll clean my water completely, or I'll clean my brush completely. Pick up as clean water as I can. Maybe do that one more time. And that's still, I think we could get a little bit brighter. So what I'll do is I'll take a dry paper towel, just push that water towards the towel so you can kind of get a feel for what it looks like when it's really light. Just pick up a little bit of water and kind of soften that up a little bit. But you can see there's a big transformation from here to here, and so it can be used either way. All right. So I'll show you something too. It really has a lot of pigment in it, and you can see my water is already yellow. So if I was going to work a blue painting, I'd have to change my water and clean my brush with soap, ivory soap. So I'm going to switch the water out, and I have a brush that I know is really clean. So when you want to go in and rework a painting, but you like certain areas and you don't want to change them, but rather add to the background or add to the options of shapes and stuff, you start with a really clean brush and really clean water, and you can pretty much paint right on top of it. And I'm not really working the bristles in, I'm just kind of laying the water down. One of the advantages to working with cold pressed paper is it's usually got a bit more texture to it, and 300 pound or better is good for this because the pigment doesn't really sit on the surface as much as it does. It kind of grabs it, and so you're able to put things on top and do this without really disturbing the painting. So you can see the painting hasn't changed. All right, so I'm gonna pick up some more paint. And one thing you can use the test strip for is I don't have any idea what this is gonna do or look like, but if I set it here, I can see I've got a lot of pigment. So you can also see that I kind of want it to be a little bit more watered down, so I'll pick up some more water. See what happens. Now this can be done on your palette as well, but I'm going to do it here so you can see. That's better. So now I can go back in and kind of add more things, and I have not disrupted what was underneath it at all. Maybe they're fireworks. Okay, so that's it for this. I'm going to let that dry. I like that. It is going to continue spreading a little bit, so definitely don't use the hair dryer because the hair dryer will push the paint around. I wish it would dry just like this, but the odds are it's going to change a little bit. All right, but you could also add a little more pigment than you want, just a little bit, and it might sort of maintain that a little better. Now, also at this point, if I wanted to change the flow, I could lift the painting up and let it dry just very slightly, and then you have a direction in which things are flowing. All right, that kind of screwed it up a little bit, but that's okay. All right, so I'm going to work on the black painting, and I want to do a demo on how to be a little more daring in the beginning and sort of making bigger sort of painting moves in the beginning to give you sort of, again, more options to translate or turn these paintings into something. So I'm going to change brushes because I'd have to clean that flat one to get the blue out, and I've got this one. It's a filbert, but it's all right. So I have fairly clean water. You can see it actually has a little blue tint. It's all right. This is a different paper. This is 300 pound. That's 500 pound. All right. I'm using a pretty big filbert. I don't see the number. All right. So I'm going to pick up black, and I want to pick up a lot. And so I'm really going to work this pigment into the bristles, and I need enough water. I don't want too much pigment, but I need a good amount. And so in order to do that, I'm going to kind of make sure I got a nice big sort of soupy pile. All right, and I know this is really dark, but on a wet ground, it's going to bleed. So let's see here. All right, so I'm going to dry my brush off a little bit and just pick up the sort of pigment that's there. Just a little bit of water, get a lot of pigment. And I'm picking up more if it's not really doing what I want it to do. Now I could maybe take my paper towel around my finger. Maybe these will become eyes. This one's got a pretty big pool, so I'm probably going to pick up a lot of it. Now, I'm not worried, like, if you're starting to think, like, oh, gee, I should add black to this, do it afterwards, after it dries. I have no idea what's going to happen with this painting when until it dries. But if I wanted to darken certain areas, I could just wet with clean water again after it's completely dry and rework it. All right, so clean up your edges, like especially when things start kind of running. It just means you've used too much water. But you could also, if this is the effect you want, it may run a little bit over here. You just sort of dry up the edges as best you can. All right, gang. Stay tuned.